But cheer up, we're joined now by Miranda, plus the real power behind the Farage throne, the UKIP puppet master and all-powerful former Merton councillor, Suzanne Evans. And Nick Robinson is in Rochester and Stroud. He's going to join us too. Nick, let me just come to you first for an update. What are we hearing? Is the story tonight simply how big UKIP's majority is going to be?
Yes, I think it is exactly that, Andrew, that no one in the Tory side is predicting that they're going to win. Everyone on the UKIP side are predicting that they will. But UKIP are making a great effort to say that it's closer than expected. Now, I suspect this is simply about downgrading expectations, because some of the opinion polls in recent days showed a pretty big margin of victory for UKIP, and I don't think they want that if it's 2,000, 3,000, the Tories to be able to say, oh, well, look, they only just did it. But there's no doubt here what the final outcome will be. It's just a question of how many votes is in it.
Suzanne Evans, how big is your majority going to be? What are you hearing?
I have no idea. And I have to say, Andrew, I'm here on tenterhooks, I really am, because
right.
I do feel for Mark, and everyone's saying we're going to win and have been saying we're going to win for a long time, and the polls have been extremely good for us. But, you know, there is that element of nerves. You never know until the result is actually announced.
Is this what you call managing expectations?
Oh, I don't think I'm managing expectations. I'm really giving you a personal view. You know, I feel for Mark. He's put his neck on the block here. The Conservatives made it quite clear that they were going out to get him, and they went out to get him. And I hope we will win. I'm very quietly confident, and I just hope it is by a good, strong majority that will really vindicate his actions.
I have a feeling that Nigel Farage doesn't feel for Mark. He was pretty rough with him this week, wasn't he?
No, I don't think. I don't think he was pretty rough. I think we just saw him stand up for him.
No, you didn't.
Quite well.
What you saw him was you saw him slap him down. You saw him saying that he was an incompetent by-election candidate who just got in a muddle.
Oh,
That's
rubbish,
exactly what he
Michael,
said.
you're completely blowing that
All right,
out
let me.
of proportion.
Alan, give me your reaction to Emily Thornby, the Shadow Attorney General, her resignation tonight.
Well, I didn't know anything about it till I walked in here, and I don't understand much more about it now. All I know, Emily Thornby comes from a very poor background. She was council house raised and is a kind of, in many ways, epitomises social mobility. Rose up to be a barrister.
But she's accused by tweeting this picture of an ordinary house with a white van in the driveway and 3 St George's flags or versions of them hanging, of sneering at that kind.
Well, she's not a stranger to council housing. That's where she comes from. I don't know. I haven't even seen the picture, but you know, if it's, it doesn't sound to me like a huge like a resignation.
So why did she resign?
Scandal. I don't know.
I mean, does it not? I mean, the problem is that it plays to this feeling that those around Mr. Miliband kind of sneer at working-class patriotism.
Well, I heard you say that the line from on your clip from the Labour Party headquarters was Ed has never been so furious. Well, maybe that's why he's furious, because it looks as if it's patronising to working-class people. But I wouldn't think that Emily Thornby is a good example of someone who would do that, given her background.
Michael, what's the significance of tonight's result? Let's assume that UKIP has won comfortably. We don't know how much. I'm being told, by the way, that the turnout is probably just over 50%, which is OK for a by-election, nothing great. Let's assume UKIP has won pretty well, pretty comfortably. What's the significance for Mr Cameron?
I would put it in 2 halves. I'd say, first of all, there'll be worry that others are going to defect, and we're going to go through all of this again in the next couple of months. The other thing
can I just say, I doubt that we'd have time now for another by-election.
Really? Yes. Oh, is that right?
That's the convention.
What,
not hard and fast.
Last 6 months.
The last couple of months. I mean, the Speaker of the House stood down with 6 months to go the last time, and there wasn't a by-election.
I suppose even so, if people announce their decision to defect, that would be serious. The other thing that strikes me, a bad combination of things here, is that Lord Ashcroft is doing a lot of polling. There's never been as much money thrown into polling as there is now. The national polls are one thing, but what he does is he polls constituency by constituency. The significance of that is you provide a lot of information to voters, and if you identify places where, let's say, UKIP is strong, you encourage tactical voting. And I think there's going to be much more information at constituency level at the next general election than there has ever been before, because the Ashcroft millions are in there.
I want to go back to Nick in just a second, but to bring Miranda in, it's just another night of misery for the Liberal Democrats, isn't it?
I think it is, yes. I think we can
another
safely
lost deposit. You're going to have a whip round to pay for it.
We can safely predict that the Lib Dems will not be winning tonight's by-election, unlike the great by-election wins of the past. But, you know, the Tory party said they were throwing the kitchen sink at this. I'm not sure that the the Lib Dems even threw a plug at it, you know, so that
No.
will be their defence. But yes, of course, having very poor showings in the months leading up to a general election doesn't boost anyone's morale.
Nick, what's played into UKIP's hands more? Has it been the immigration issue, which of course has had massive coverage everywhere, or has it just been the opportunity for the people of Rochester and Stroud to give the mainstream Westminster parties a good kicking?
Well, all of the above and more, Andrew, isn't it? In a sense, there are lots of angry voters who've got lots of different reasons for feeling angry with all the Westminster parties. And yes, immigration comes out again and again, just standing with a camera on the station platform tonight. People volunteered immigration. I wasn't asking them about it, but there's controversies about the health service here. There's arguments about all the things you'd find in every local area. Michael Portillo is right, though, in what he's just said to you about the spending on individual polling, but it isn't just coming from the Tories and Michael Ashcroft. It is also coming from UKIP's own donors. We met one of the big UKIP donors here in the street who is spending a fortune of his own money on individual constituency polls. And what I think you will see after this is no immediate defections, none that we can predict anyway. Certainly the Tory whips are not expecting a defection. What they fear, though, is that UKIP will spend money on individual constituency polls. They will then go to a Tory MP and say, look, be with us and you're more likely to save your skin than you are if you stick with David Cameron. Those people will then be told to wait long enough that they don't have to call a by-election for the reasons you say, Andrew, and that they call and they announce their defection at the moment of maximum pain for the government. For example, on the day of David Cameron's immigration speech, or some date in the new year when the government wants to announce something. So polling will be crucial in persuading some more Tory MPs to follow the two who've already made the jump.
Suzanne Evans, are you expecting any more Tory defections if you win well tonight?
I think Mark Reckless has said that he's been talking to two other Tory MPs and he's not going to name who they are. What the party would really like, I think, is a Labour defector. And I think it's interesting what Nick is saying, because I'm not sure I quite agree. I think too many more Tory defectors and we will be stuck with the label of being the Tory party.
So you'd like a Labour defector?
We are definitely not.
Have you got any Labour defectors in mind?
Nigel has said that he might have one or two up his sleeve, yes. Because we definitely now do appeal to Labour voters just as much as we do to Conservatives. And if you look at polls, that's twice as many Labour voters are coming over as they were in 2010.
I mean, clearly the main loser tonight, if it goes the way we're talking, is going to be David Cameron. He's losing a seat that the Tories won by almost 10,000 votes in the 2010 election. But in the old days, it used to be if the Tories were the loser, Labour was the winner. But Labour's going to be a loser tonight as well. This is the kind of seat, Rochester and Stroud, which you held from 97 to 2010, and which Labour has to win if it's to form a majority government. It's the kind of southern seat you need to win.
Yeah, there's been a bit of a boundary change.
Having
Bob Marshall
for the by-election, the boundary changes are de minimis.
Yeah,
If you carry on watching our by-election coverage following this programme, I will show you the changes. They're very small.
I won't sit up till the wee small hours with you, thank you, Andrew.
But you'll be allowed to leave.
It was never one of our target seats. And when I was there, it seems to me that there were many Labour people who were thinking of voting Conservative to keep UKIP out. The interesting thing for me is that UKIP, more and more as we come to the general election, are coming under the kind of scrutiny that Michael and I are very used to. So you saw two examples of that, the repatriation bit, and then the incredible Nigel Farage and the NHS. I mean, I caught a bit of Douglas Carswell who's a very decent guy, by the way, and who usually just says what he thinks. Suddenly he's in normal politics mode and trying to explain the unexplainable, why Nigel Farage should think that insurance-based NHS system was right a couple of years ago, and suddenly doesn't think it's right at all. Changed his mind, he says.
I can point to a million U-turns that Labour have done as well. I mean, let's look at...
Oh, no, well, of course you can. Of course you can, but we're under great scrutiny from the public on these issues. UKIP have escaped that as being part of the none-of-the-above party. That's going to become much more of a spotlight.
Well, we keep on saying that, but it doesn't yet. We're heading for
not
another
yet
hung
general
parliament.
election yet.
Well, I think we are heading for another hung parliament, but I think what's interesting is also if UKIP do get more establishment MPs, you know, are they still the anti-establishment party? And as Suzanne says, do they become a wing of the Tory party, or can they turn to something else? Because you're seeing the hollowing out of the main parties. And after the humiliation in Scotland, this is another humiliation for all the main parties.
We will have to